New Mexicans collecting unemployment benefits are once again required to prove they're actively looking for work. The Department of Workforce Solutions did away with the requirement during the pandemic, as you might recall, because it didn't make sense for people to be out looking for jobs that didn't exist. But now that more businesses are able to be open and expand, theoretically, job seekers have more opportunities. The requirement is 2 work search efforts per week in order to stay eligible for those benefits. And Laura, we knew those requirements would come back at some point. The question is, do you think right now is the right time?
I think that it is absolutely the right time to do this right now. I think that we have a serious problem across the state with places that are not able to provide services. They're open. There's counties that are now in turquoise, but the businesses are still struggling because they can't find workers. And that's a real problem for our economy. It's funny. I just told Dan, I've been spending a fair amount of time going down to the southeast part of the state, going to Roswell. And I happened to go down there at a time when they were in the turquoise. The rest of us were still in yellow, and they were in turquoise. And I went to a restaurant, and they had like a 2-hour wait. And they were having indoor dining. And I said, well, why are you guys at 2 hours? They said, well, we're only at 25% capacity. I said, no, you guys are in turquoise. How can you only be at 25% capacity? And they explained it was because they didn't have enough employees to be able to serve people. They didn't have enough servers, and they couldn't hire enough people. And that's not just in Roswell that's happening. That's happening all over the state. That's happening here in Albuquerque. It's a serious, serious problem. So to the extent that we have people that are on unemployment right now, and if they're actually out there looking, they're more likely to find a job. There's so many opportunities right now, and people are desperate to get good workers in there. So I think it makes sense for people to have to demonstrate that they're actually looking.
Daniel, it doesn't seem overly burdensome. I mean, this is the usual route, if I have this correct, for any unemployment. You have to be searching a couple times a week. But does that solve the problem of getting employers to get help? What Laura was getting at, basically.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this highlights a much bigger systemic problem in New Mexico, right? I mean, that we have people who can get a $400 a month kicker from the federal government unemployment, and it makes more sense to be unemployed than it does to go to work. And I think that's a systemic problem. It's interesting because we're going to make businesses pay more per hour and do all this other stuff to get a quote unquote living wage, but yet we're giving folks this, well, by any standard, a non-living wage, and they'd rather have that than go back to work. And so it's a problem. I mean, it's an interesting scenario. I was watching a show the other day, and they're saying it's a conundrum because we have this high level of unemployment, yet we have this huge gap of individuals ready to work. And so, it's something it's a balance that you haven't seen, right? Normally, we got a big demand in workers. We don't have enough workers, or we have too many workers and not enough jobs. Right now, not only in New Mexico, across the country, there's more jobs, but there's people that just don't want to take them. And so, I think it's a wake up call, to see what we can do. And at the same time, we're passing legislation that puts these small businesses in a bigger pickle to try to figure out how to hire people and get people to come to work. And it's just a disaster of epic proportion.
Martha, interesting. I'm thinking back to a time in my life when I would be managing small businesses for somebody else, not owning, but managing. And there was this beautiful game of people coming in to look for work. They would basically walk in and say, are you guys hiring? And you would get to the O in no, and they were already out the door. They were gone, basically, because they were just fulfilling that requirement. And so my question is this a bit of an additional burden for some businesses that you can have all these folks walking in for these requirements, but not serious about taking the job because, as Dan and Laura are saying, the money is just too irresistible for them right now?
Well, why is the money too irresistible, Gene? Because darn minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. I have to speak for the majority here, and the majority that are out of work right now are service workers, and the majority of those are female. It's all part and parcel of a lack of social supports. And yes, I'm using the S word, social. Okay, you're a single mother maybe, or maybe you're a married mother, but you're making less money than the husband in the household. If you're married, if you're not, you're making pittance of money. You got no child care. half the schools are not open. We just don't have the social infrastructure to allow people to go to work for the minimum wage. There's no reason why they should. And by the way, I did the math once again. And if the minimum wage had kept up with inflation since the last minimum was passed in 1980s, you know what it would be today? $44 an hour. And so let's not blame the so-called lazy worker. Let's just not shoot for the hip on this, because there are many other factors that come into this. And I just want to say one more thing about, the implication is they'd rather be on welfare than be working. Let me tell you who's on welfare. The corporations, because the minimum wage is a corporate subsidy. The two highest minimum wage employers in this state and around the country are Walmart and McDonald's. And they are also the two highest companies with workers on Medicaid and food stamps. So if you want to talk about welfare, let's talk about corporate welfare too.
Fair enough. Had to get that in there, no doubt about that. Laura, interestingly, the benefits than some of these low-paying jobs, a study by J.P. Morgan Chase Institute found little evidence that that's actually true, that folks are making these kind of decisions. But anecdotally on the street, it's hard to get around that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I do think there's something to be said for the anecdotal issue. I mean, unfortunately, it becomes a bit of an echo chamber. I do want to clarify, though, that I never said that people on welfare were, I never used the term welfare, right? I was talking about.
Didn't, but
I mean, I just want to make clear. I mean,
it's the
I think, right, but I do think that there are a lot of small businesses in New Mexico that are struggling right now. A lot of restaurants that are struggling to find people, and folks, for whatever reason, and it could be a childcare issue. There's a lot of systemic problems that we have here in New Mexico.
And these are all individual decisions, aren't they? A lot of folks are getting lumped like there's some kind of group thought here. These are individual choices.
I mean, there's sometimes it's a county by county issue, right? There's certain jobs in different places, but I think that, I certainly see an overwhelming amount of for hire signs these days. And it's really surprising because since I've lived in New Mexico, I've never seen this many open positions and people just desperate to find somebody. So I think having a requirement like this makes sense. I mean, I remember going back for as long as you mentioned, Jean, managing businesses, but I remember being a kid and my mom had been on unemployment when she was on seasonal work. Down at the chili plant in Deming, she had to go and do the unemployment thing and look for a job. And to look for a job, and she was a single mom, had childcare issues and all that stuff. And it was very challenging to try to find a job. You did have to go out and pound the pavement and try to find a job of some sort. And that was back when there weren't a lot of opportunities. So I think, we are painting with a very broad brush. I think the state has to do what it can at this point. And I also think that Martha has a point. I mean, we have to figure out how to increase the minimum wage. It's important, though, to note that New Mexico already has a higher minimum wage than the feds. We were at $9, and then it increased to $10.50 starting in 2021. But we also, that then affects small businesses as well. And the federal government also needs to catch up to that.
That's
so,
right.
We're all just waiting for Congress to act to make it more of a livable wage, because I do think that there are systemic problems with not just our state, but the federal system in general.
And this is what you're all describing as part of the tremors of this aftershock of what we just went through with the pandemic. Martha, you have one more point there?
One more point.
Super quick, if you could.
It was in the last bailout bill that Biden proposed. The Republicans kicked it out before it could pass. So we know who's against minimum wage right now.
Here it is. We're all out of time on that topic for this week, at least. Next up for our line panelists, evictions and housing shortages across our state.